This $20 book can actually teach you how to lose weight. And in today's video, I'm gonna give you all the lessons so you don't even have to read it. Now, I'm Raul and I'm a nutrition coach, and I first read this book when I was locked down for, the C word. And I'd actually been gifted this book a couple of years prior, but because I had so much spare time in my hand, I decided to finally give it a go. Now, as someone who's been involved in the fitness industry, the first thing I thought about was I can use a lot of the tools in this book, not only for myself, but for a lot of my clients. So let's start digging into what some of those lessons are. One of the first lessons this book teaches you is that you should have systems, not so much goals. A lot of the time people say, I want to lose 10 kilos, but they don't have a system that's going to actually help them get there. If you develop a system that helps you lose the weight, like trying to get a certain amount of steps every day, trying to hit a certain amount of calories every day, or trying to get a certain amount of workouts in every week, then the weight loss goal will eventually happen. But if we just think about the goal that we want without a system that's going to help us get there, it can be really hard to reach that. Another good lesson that this book provides is that we need to make habits obvious. For example, it can be really hard to lose weight if you don't have the right food in your fridge. This is why you want to try and go to the supermarket once a week, make sure that you buy all the food that you could need to try and eat well, that you keep it stocked in the fridge, and that you go those extra steps like making sure things are already cut up, that you have things like maybe a breakfast burrito already made in the freezer that you can just grab and chuck in your air fryer. And yes, I know what you're thinking, I'm part of the air fryer cult. It's okay, you can join us. Do these things ahead of time. It makes having those habits so much easier to follow. A third thing about this book that's really good is that it talks about having identities-based goals. This means that you are no longer somebody who is trying to lose weight. You are a dieter or an exerciser who is in the journey. Sometimes thinking of yourself as the identity can help you achieve the goal. I'm gonna give you a quick little story about myself. I am a salsa dancer, and for the first year of doing salsa dance, I didn't consider myself a salsa dancer at all. It actually took me to the day when I went and bought my first pair of dancing shoes that I bought because I was doing a performance at the end of the year with my studio. And when I went to buy those dancing shoes, I went up to the counter and I asked the lady, I need size 11 shoes for this dance recital. And she said, oh, what kind of dancer are you? That moment was the moment that I realized that I was no longer somebody who went to dance classes, but I'd become a dancer. And ever since then, you better believe it, I rip up the dance floor from time to time. Probably one of my favorite lessons in this book is the idea of habit stacking, which means that you stack one good habit with another one. When it comes to weight loss, there are plenty of habit stackings that we can try and do. For example, when you're going to the gym, instead of doing nothing between your sets, try and walk around the gym. What this does is that it lets you work out and it starts getting your steps up. And if you do this every time, you're gonna notice that you're stacking two positive habits together on top of each other, which means that your results are gonna compound. This brings me to the next point, which is small wins compound. Now, the book does a great job of giving us examples of the difference that temperature can make to an ice cube. If you put an ice cube in a room, nothing will happen to it until the temperature changes by 1 degree. And the same thing is gonna happen with a lot of your wins. You're gonna stack them on top of each other and you're gonna feel like nothing's gonna change. So one day something does, and then everything will be different. You go from feeling like your pants are too tight till all of a sudden they feel too loose. If you can keep stacking wins on top of each other, before you know it, you're gonna be unrecognizable to yourself in a positive way. The next lesson that I like to discuss is the 2-minute rule, which is basically instead of telling yourself, I'm gonna go and run 5 kilometers, tell yourself, I'm gonna go and run for 2 minutes and see how that feels. Chances are that unless you're a psychopath, you're not just gonna go out the door and run for 2 minutes. You're gonna run for 2 minutes, you're gonna realize that the world hasn't ended, that you're probably not having a cardiac arrest, and that you could probably keep running for a little bit longer. This type of ideology is so helpful to giving you momentum to get going when it comes to your weight loss journey. Another great lesson in the book is about making bad habits hard to reach. For example, if you don't have bad food inside of your house, it's going to be harder to snack unless you want to pay the extra money for the Uber Eats to come towards your house. And in today's economy, let's not lie, we don't all have spare cash for that. Another really valuable lesson of this book is making sure that you're tracking and measuring things. This is something that I do with all of my clients, making sure they are tracking things like their calories, their steps, maybe even the minutes of cardio they do, and most definitely how many workouts they're doing each week. Tracking these things is invaluable because it allows you to look back each week to see, did I have a good week or did I have a bad week? By tracking things, we can go by statistics and we can take our feelings aside. Sometimes you might have a really good week when it comes to eating, but for some reason you have bad associations with food and you feel like it was a bad week. Whereas you can go back to your calories and you can see that I eat more, the same, or less calories than I should have. And that will give you the answer instead of using your feelings to give you the answer, which might not always be accurate. Lastly, the best lesson that this book will teach you is that you should be focusing on a lifestyle and not short-term goals. By creating lifestyle changes around you, this will ensure that you actually see long-term results. One of the biggest issues people have when it comes to weight loss is they think to themselves, I'm gonna do this for 12 weeks and then that will be the end of it. Instead of realizing that maybe they could learn to find a breakfast that they actually enjoy, that they could eat for the rest of their life, that actually helps them lose weight, that they could find a training program that they actually enjoy, that they like going to, that will help them stay active. If you end up making lifestyle changes for your body and for your mind, it's going to be so much easier to be able to stick to the journey and actually see results. Now, if you're somebody who's stuck right now and you need a bit of assistance, there are two things that I can do to help you. One, there's a free link below to a free calorie calculator that you can utilize to find out how many calories you should be eating to be losing weight. And two, if you're somebody who's ready to take action, I have a 12-week challenge coming up. There's a waitlist below in the link. And if you sign up, I will send you all the details when I'm ready to launch. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe if you want to. And if not, just watch the video that YouTube is recommending for you.